Welcome back to the Metro on 1019 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham. The voices that have told the stories of fashion and creating some of the biggest names often had a very narrow lens of what it means to be fashionable. Take Vogue, for example. What do you think of when you think of Vogue? Fashion, of course, but what's usually highlighted there does not represent the wider scope of the industry itself. A new local magazine is trying to show its readers that everyone can live a life of luxury. Divine Magazine highlights Detroit's creatives and fashion designers, and they're doing this at a time when the fashion world is paying more and more attention to what's being made here in the city of Detroit. But what sets Divine apart from other fashion magazines? To discuss that a little bit more, we have Divine Magazine's chief editor in charge, Charde Goins here. Charde, welcome to the Metro.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, are you from the city?
Of course.
What part?
You know, West Side, Dexter and Davidson.
All right, West Side. But how did growing up in the city of Detroit especially give you this idea to create this magazine?
Well, so I actually had a magazine in college. I went to Central Michigan.
Fire up, Chips. I just throw it out there.
Period. I grew up just like loving the creative space. I was in Mosaic for majority of my adolescence. I was an actor. It's so funny because fashion, right? It's like we had this show called Woodward Wonderland, and one of the key lines was like, "Oh, in Detroit, we're always dressed to the nines." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" So I just kind of have always been around the creative space, the fashion, through expressing yourself. Like I've always expressed myself through clothing as a creative. And so, that was my introduction to just the creative space in general. I went to Central Michigan. I got my degree in broadcasting, cinematic arts. So that is where the journalism comes in. You know, we did radio, we did news. And I decided that I wanted to do a magazine. It actually was in response to the political climate at the time. I was going to do something called Afro Central. But then I was a senior as well. So I was like, I'm going to graduate. I don't want to just leave it and it not work out. So I came home. I graduated. I ended up doing an internship program, running one for about 2 years. I had students from all over, I think Michigan State, U of M, Yale, NYU. And it was really great for them. They were able to, just express what they were feeling at the time because there was a lot going on still. And so that just prompted me to revisit the magazine idea. I was like getting more into my personal style at the time and had a lot of fashion inspiration. And so I just decided, what the heck, I'm going to start a fashion magazine.
What the heck? Which is such a, just when you just said just what the heck, but that's such a big leap to just jump into magazines. So a lot of people don't know. I don't know what it takes to get a magazine off the ground and get it published and get it printed out and all the things that goes into it. So can you talk just a little bit, very briefly, if you can, about the creation of Divine Magazine itself? So you're the editor-in-chief. How did you go about finding journalists and writers? How did you go about finding different patterns and different things like that? Just go ahead and give us the lowdown on Divine Magazine.
Absolutely. So with the structure, I think LinkedIn was my best friend. So I, had a little bit of design experience from school, so I do the entire layout myself. And then when it came to getting writers, I had already done the internship program. So I just, use LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing if people want to come and write. And then my first print was actually funded by my job at the time because, they believed in me. I talked a lot about the things that I was doing. Awesome. And so they did my first print run, and then I distributed them locally at art galleries. So I did Irwin House Gallery. We were at Harper Galleries of Arts and Interiors. I was at Sugar Coated Esthetician salon, and we just, kind of got picked up everywhere, and everyone was like, oh, this is super nice. I would come back, I think a couple weeks later, and they're like, yeah, they're all gone. Oh my goodness, they really like them. So that's how it started. And then systems wise, my team has grown over time. So now I actually have a managing editor who's able to help navigate the submissions and the writers that we have currently. I have a production team. So now I'm not just, it's not just me. I'm able to expand and delegate, and we can cover more ground, which has impacted our quality over time.
I mean, some of the stories that you are able to tell aren't stories that you often hear or see within print publications in general throughout the city of Detroit. So this is definitely filling a space that is missing and has been missing in the city for a while. On the show, we often talk about Detroit's fashion scene and how we know it's dope. We know it's amazing as we, growing up here, but not many people give us credit for some of our fashion endeavors. So could you talk about Detroit's local fashion scene right now and what you're seeing coming out of it that's really inspiring you?
Absolutely. So I agree. There's definitely a new peak interest in Detroit, even though, yes, we're all like, we've always been fly. Mm-hmm. Hello. But I think just with so much emerging art as well and the focus of the city kind of being in the creative space right now, there's so many different collaborations that are happening with fine artists. We're seeing murals go up every year. The Gucci Changemakers program is doing things every year, so I think there are just more opportunities available for people to collaborate with larger brands and entities where they're being able to be put on a higher pedestal. We have the new Gucci store downtown. We've got Fenty now. So I think that the foot traffic is growing, right? And people are taking an interest in the space. But then the creative social landscape is also growing. We have a lot of social media influencers. We have a lot of content creation happening here. And so, all of that provides a space for people to see what's happening in Detroit in real time. Yeah.
Yeah. And, just thinking of some of the fashion designers that are, coming out of the city right now. I think of Kenneth Walker, who's right up the street actually from us in his own storefront. Mm-hmm. I just think about so many other folks who are in the industry right now, whether you are a seamstress or just no matter what's going on, you see it booming and you see it thriving. I do want to talk to you just about that thriving community that is the fashion scene, because it is growing and it is expanding and people are starting to network across the whole entire industry in a really cool way. So could you talk about that community that is starting to build within Detroit's fashion scene that you're able to write about and talk about in Divine Magazine?
Absolutely. It's so funny because we just shot a cover for William Palmer.
Yeah.
So he's a handbag designer here in Detroit. Bags are amazing, very unique. And it was a full circle moment for us because in our very first print run, we featured the William Palmer handbag. So it's just like, oh my gosh, now we're able to connect. We've grown. So I just think like you said, there's definitely a lot of cross networking. There are a lot of stylists. Just a couple shout outs, shameless plug, right, to our community members. But Zarbi is an amazing stylist. She has a showroom. It's called Zarbi's Tiny Showroom. She does styling for Tunch. And they have different, collaborations. I think that what we're seeing is a lot of people have their own brands. Leah Gabrielle, she does great custom couture work. So we're just all networking. We're all meeting. We're all going outside, right, and having a good time. And then we're building those relationships and creating opportunities to work collaboratively together. So there's just a lot going on, even with Tiff Massey, right, and the DIA, they permanently acquired some of those pieces. So I think that we're just getting the leverage that we need. We're getting the resources, the money.
Yeah, that's the thing that I hear so often about all of the industries, especially within the city of Detroit. But the industries that are Black led, we often hear, and I often hear, we know we have mentors. We love the mentorship. We love it. We need the funds to help us take that stuff that we're learning from the mentors to actually put it into fruition. So when we talk about just moving forward in general within the fashion scene, within just Detroit's scene in general, can you talk about how Divine plans to expand on telling the stories of so many people who are doing the work but often are doing it unseen?
Yes, absolutely. So we do our monthly issues, right? Each issue we have a cover feature, we have a special feature. So we like to at least highlight 2 different people every month, outside of just general interviews that we might do on our platform digitally. In terms of what's going on in the city. We also did just do a award show this year for the very first time called the Flourish Awards. And so that was specifically for, behind the scenes talent, your photographers, your screenwriters, the people who don't necessarily get the aren't in front of the camera. I'm sorry, usually. And then now they're doing all this work and they're kind of really putting together like the meat of whatever the project is, but you might not exactly know, who they are or what they did to contribute to that project. So I think that was a really great program for us. It is intended to be an annual award show. So we're hoping that, people continue to come and enjoy. And we just do different, activations. We did a book series this summer for the first time, a fashion book club. That was fun. We have another date coming up actually on July 13th. It is at the Congregation from 3 to 5. And so we do some fashion book reading. And I'm trying to think, our release events too. I think the release events are really big for us. That is where we sell our issues. And then that's how we connect to our audience as well. So we're able to actually meet people, to put faces to names, right? I think I'm getting better with that.
Yeah.
As the, editor. It's like, okay, well, you have to like go outside and show your face.
You can't be behind the scenes as much anymore.
Exactly. So that's been new for me. But yeah, we're definitely just, doing our we're being consistent. I think that allows us to build that relationship and then creating different spaces or collaborative platforms where we can highlight those individuals as well.
And that's just the biggest thing right now is collaboration and teamwork. That's what we're seeing across the city of Detroit. But this is the Metro, and we're talking to Charde Goins. She is the editor-in-chief of Divine Magazine. It's a publication that highlights Detroit's artists, fashion designers, and the impact they're making in the city and beyond. Now, just speaking of Divine Magazine itself, not many people are putting out magazines or any physical media you can hold within your hands. And I call it media, but any physical publication you can hold in your hand. Why a magazine that's physical?
I know, right? I've actually been told I should not do it.
And I was going to say, so all the people in your head telling you, no, this is silly. No. But you see value in it.
I do. It really was from the very first print run that we did. It's just like to come back in less than 30 days and know that everything that you put there is gone, is an indicator for me that we had something special. And so when it comes to print, I mean, we're going into the digital age. We all know that. I think that, every platform will have to assimilate to that essentially. And even we are doing that, right? We have digital subscriptions available. You can read all our articles online. You can access the magazine online as well. But it's just something about the physical. It's like walking into a record store, like everybody might not have a record player in their house, but the record stores aren't really going anywhere because people love records. And there's just something you can't take away or replace the records with truly. So I think that magazines have that same kind of nostalgic feel. And people just want to, touch something. They want to see it in real time. They want to look at it and be like, okay, this was cool. Like I can put this on my coffee table. And it just feels like a luxury, personal item, I guess, or like something that that adds to your aesthetic of your life.
Yes.
And so, I think the print is just important. People want it. It's just a niche group now.
Yeah, it is a niche group, but people do want it because I still have a magazine on my coffee table as we speak. So it's just like I make sure to keep something like that. And honestly, I don't know who signed me up, but it was a Vogue subscription. So I get the Vogues and I'm just like, well, they're on my coffee table right now, but soon it's going to be Divine Magazine all over my coffee table. Before I do let you go, really quickly, 30 seconds are left. I know you do have some community events that you were just talking about. July 13th, you said, at the Congregation?
Yes.
Yeah, so what's going on then?
So July 13th at the Congregation, we are doing our second iteration of the book club series. We're reading a fashion book, and then we also have a release event coming up. So July 25th, that location is still to be determined. So I will, update the social media platform with that. But we are going to be having our release event for our July issue on the 25th. We will be featuring William Palmer Home and God and I, the luxury custom eyewear brand.
Which I was just talking about, who just celebrated 10 years.
I know.
10 years. Right? Amazing. Charde Goins is the editor-in-chief of Divine Magazine. It's a magazine and online publication covering Detroit's art and fashion zine. Charde, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you for having me.
The Metro is hosted by Robin Vincent and myself, Tia Graham, and produced by Sam Corey, Carey Jr. II, and Jack Philbrandt. Our engineer is Nate Bender, and our senior producer is David Lyons. The Metro is a production of WDET, a listener-supported service of Wayne State University. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. You all have a great day.